So my son and his cousin, my nephew, went mushroom hunting today. So we have something that we don't really have very often, but they are leatherbacks. My family used to call them Bradleys. I'm not sure. It's around August that you'll find them, usually after a good rainstorm. But they were foraged by my son and my nephew, so I do trust them a lot. These, you can see the blood that or the milk that comes out. So I know that that is the right thing. And I cleaned them up just by rinsing them with cold water. And then I towel dried them with paper towels. And then I just have a plate of flour, salt, and pepper that I flour them with. And this is better than a steak, because we have this less often than a steak. Careful, it's hot. And they are wonderful. People that don't eat a lot of meat will replace their meat with mushrooms, but these are delicious. So I dip these in my flour before I fry them. But you can see the backs. They're called leatherbacks, and that's why. They look like leather on the back of them. But there is not much better in the world, I would guess, than foraged mushrooms. And only foraged mushrooms if you can clearly identify them. But this one's a very dark. I think some people call those brownies whenever they're small and dark like this one. But it's a type of leatherback or Bradley, depending on what part of the country you're from. Call it different things. So I gave the kids some noodles, hoping they'll fill up on that before we eat these. We will share, and definitely they were shared with us. There's a good example. I just snapped the very end of this Bradley off, and it has milk coming out. I actually pull the stem off, and then I fry these two separate. So I actually cut these stems in half and fry them too. We don't waste any of this. So this only happens a little while in the year. This is August right now. So whenever you find them and you get quite a bit at one time, there's only so many that you can make and fix before they go bad. So of course you should be generous and share with all your friends and neighbors, but also keep some and try salting them. This is what we do. These were actually 2 years old. This is down in our cellar. But we wash them, and then we lay them flat in here with salt underneath them, and then salt on top of them in layers, at least enough to track a rabbit, is what my father-in-law says. So this is what it looks like when they're salted. You can't hardly even see them, but ooh, the shadow's too much. But you can uncover them. And what you'll do if you want to use these, you would soak them in water and then use it the next morning, at least overnight. And then fry it up with eggs for breakfast. It's delicious. But fry one first. So this has quite a few mushrooms in here. These are actually in layers, starting at the very bottom. And they are covered, each layer, with salt. Plenty of salt. So whenever you get them out, this is 2 years old. And it smells delicious. This, in comparison to a brand new one, and this looks a little browner. That's a little close. This is totally fine to eat. This will be very salty if you would just to eat it at this point. So take out as much as you wanted to fix for breakfast or whatever, but breakfast is really good. If you do this the night before, soak them in water, change the water a few times. You know, do it like 6 o'clock, change it at like 9 o'clock before you go to bed. Wake up early, change it again, and then right before you fry it, fry one little section and make sure it doesn't taste too much like salt. If it does, just keep soaking, get that salt back out. But that is a great way to preserve your mushrooms. There's only so many ways you can do it without electricity, and this is a great way. I would love to learn more about how to salt other things, so if you know anything, put it in the comments below. That has worked good for mushrooms. You can also dehydrate mushrooms, but I believe you have to be careful with the spores. I think you're supposed to do it in a really well ventilated area, maybe even outside. Never done that before. We eat what we can fresh and we share a little bit. And then we've done this. This is awesome. I love how this is without refrigeration, without using up any electricity. And we scoop it out. And we use these on special occasions, like for my birthday. That's probably about the specialist occasion I can think of. But there are big ones in there, yeah. Make sure the surface is totally covered. All of the mushroom totally covered whenever, I can't believe these are 2 years old. So this mushroom, these mushrooms, this salt is moist. It wasn't when we put it in there, but it has soaked up all the moisture from the mushrooms. And it is preserving it. Isn't that amazing? I think you can do fish this way too. Never done that. If you have, tell me about it. And let me know if you've ever tried any leatherbacks or Bradleys, or if you have, what your family calls them, because I'm sure it's not the same. Subscribe, give a thumbs up. Make sure when you are storing this for long-term storage, you seal the lid very well. And this actually hurts my fingers when I do it, so I'm going to make my husband do this. Go ahead. The twist ones, there are lids that you can twist on here, but I almost think that this is a better seal than the twist off ones. But there are some of those. We actually got a twist off lid in the Tractor Supply. Had them for like $10. And we have that for things I get into really quickly. Like I have popcorn in big containers like this. Get 5-gallon buckets with a screw top lid. But this we don't get out very much, so this is fine for this bucket. My husband will crank it down, push it down on all the corners and seal it up good. And then we'll put this back in our cellar. Someday I'll show you what we keep down there. Not today.
Where did you find all these?